What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another one. This time we're looking at y'all can't even see me. Whoops. This time we looking at F1, but it gets increasingly more ridiculous. Now, Red Bull is iconic for doing the most insane stunts ever. From F1 teams to they just sponsor a whole lot. They adrenaline company that just so happens to sell energy drinks. And honestly, at this point, I just think it's adrenaline in a can. Like, the things people do for a Red Bull is crazy. Red Bull gives you wings. Yeah, that's because you about to get sent to heaven. Like, if anything go wrong, Red Bull will definitely give you wings. But in this case, we talking about F1 cars. We ain't talking about jumping out of a plane into another plane. We ain't talking about switching pilots in midair. We're not even talking about Travis Pastrana jumping out of a plane with no parachute, just literally nothing but trust and faith in his friends to make sure he don't hit the ground going terminal velocity. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
From cars sliding through mountains to whole teams in zero gravity. These are Formula One stunts, but they get increasingly more insane. If there's a king of unhinged F1 stunts, it's definitely Red Bull. They've basically turned car abuse into a marketing strategy. And back in 2010, they did something so ridiculous that even to this day, no one knows why they did it. They took a Toro Rosso STR5, shipped it all the way to the Dominican Republic, and drove it on a beach. Red Bull wanted a stunt that they felt was fresh and wild, so they pulled up to Punta Cana like it was the most normal idea ever. Then they rolled the car onto the shoreline while people gathered around. But here's the thing, beaches are basically the worst place you can put an F1 car. However, the V8 fires up, the shoreline starts shaking, and suddenly the STR5 is blasting forward like it stole something. Huge sand plumes shoot into the air, the car drifts right next to the water, sliding like it's trying out for a Dominican Fast and Furious spin-off. What the hell happened to those movies, by the way? And Jaime Alguersuari, my guy was sending it. He slid through the beach with this weird mix of confidence and please don't explode.
What's that?
Every frame looked cursed and cool at the same time. At one moment, a small wave literally slaps the side of the car on an F1 machine worth more than my entire existence.
Just a little water cooling.
But hey, Red Bull pulled it off. It was messy, dramatic, beautiful, and stupid in the best way. And honestly, if that car can survive a beach day, you can survive pressing one little subscribe button. But if
Yeah, perfect time. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, please. Thank you. If you want to see me doing any kind of driving, any kind of whatever, check out my other channels. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the description below, so be sure to check those out too.
you think the beach was wild, just wait, because Red Bull saw a frozen mountain next and basically said, yeah, let's go to the opposite end. And somehow, everyone just nodded. And that's the exact kind of chaotic energy that explains why the RB7, a championship-winning machine, ended up on a freezing ski slope in Kitzbühel. Before Max even touched the car, the engineers had to figure out how to make this poor thing survive the cold. Normally, an F1 car wants heat, warm brakes, warm tires, warm everything. Whoa, not that warm. But up there, everything was freezing, so the team did the only logical thing. They put studded tires on it, real spikes and snow chains. Mazepin could do with some of those.
What I thought. He got a bit trigger happy with the throttle and often had his own accident.
Hey daddy, I need studded tires and snow chains, for God's sake.
They turned this top-class machine into the world's most dangerous ice skate. And they strengthened the suspension too, because everyone knew
Hey Daddy is crazy.
Max was gonna push. It's Max, and this slope, no joke. Kitzbühel is one of the steepest, scariest downhill routes on the planet. Still, Max started his run, and wow, it was insane. He drifted across the ice like it was nothing, climbed slopes that shouldn't be climbable, and rotated the car with so much control it almost looked fake. And the best part, he literally drove up the ski jump like it was just another corner. Ice flew everywhere and the mountain echoed. The RB7 fought for grip like you turning off traction control in F1 25. Red Bull filmed everything like a movie trailer. Slow motion ice clouds, drone shots, steam freezing instantly. It was unreal. This stunt had all that at once, yet the RB7 handled it like a champ. You know what also has everything all in one? The sponsor today, Cooper. Cooper is a free browser.
Nope, I'm not being sponsored by them. So until they hit me up, fast forward.
Runs on basically anything with a screen. Crow.
Nope.
Something pretty different, but and while Max was or download the app. Stunts are expensive, but your shopping cart doesn't have to be. And while Max was shredding ski slopes like a man possessed, Hollywood showed us something pretty different, but somehow still insane. Now it's Hollywood stepping into actual F1 cars. And trust me, this whole thing gets way crazier than you'd expect. Formula One loves attention, and Hollywood, they bring attention by the truckload. That's why teams were willing to let two of the biggest stars on Earth get inside real F1 machinery. Plus, they have proper coaching, real engineers supervising, and enough preparation to avoid turning the car into confetti on lap 1. Still, the idea feels a little, yeah, this might be a bad decision if you ask me. Let's start with Tom Cruise, because of course he was first. We're talking the same guy who hangs off of aeroplanes. In August 2011, he went to Willow Springs and Red Bull basically said, sure, hop in, and they handed him a real F1 car. He had David Coulthard coaching him, which already sounds like DLC content for a Mission Impossible movie.
Your hands should never leave the wheel, and they should only ever be upshift and downshift. Everything else is then just down to your feet. So,
but I'm off the throttle when I'm going down.
Off throttle when you're going down, full on when you're going up.
And he didn't waste a second. The guy drove 24 laps over 7 hours.
I don't blame him, I would too. I'm getting as much wheel time as I can if I get behind the F1 car.
Kept improving and somehow knocked 11 seconds off his initial time. 11. He even hit 181 miles per hour, which is wild considering most people panic at 80.
Oh, no. You don't want to see that.
Coulthard literally said Cruise was the real deal.
The amount of laps he actually did, it was remarkable how quickly he got up to speed. Yeah, I've got no doubt, and I'm not being kind here, but I've got no doubt if he really wanted to put some serious time into driving those types of cars, you know, with a few days of proper running, he could be running some really good time.
Then comes Brad Pitt, who didn't just dip his toes into F1, he jumped in head first. As part of his training for the F1 movie, first he drove...
Man, I'm surprised they didn't bring Tony Stark. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. Cause in Iron Man, you know, he had, I don't know what year this was, but in Iron Man, you know, there was a scene where he literally just went on and hopped in the F1 car, and based on the movie, of course it's a movie now. I don't know how good he is in real life with it, but in the movie, he did his thing until, you know, Sir Whips-a-Lot came through and decided to split the whole car in half. But
a modified Formula 2 style car at real circuits, mixing filming with actual track running. And then in June 2025, McLaren decided to give him the opportunity of his life and put him in a 2023 MCL 60 at Cotta.
Relapse a lifetime.
A real modern monster. He pushed almost 200 miles per hour and afterwards said he didn't sleep for 36 hours because the experience was so intense.
How was that?
Oh, dude. I'm still on a high. I didn't sleep for 36 hours afterwards.
And the craziest part, he hits 197 miles per hour.
I want to see them on a track together. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt racing each other in F1 cars. That would be sick.
3 miles per hour off that big 200 mark. And here's the important part. They did great, but they're still not racing drivers. However, Hollywood still proved something interesting. With enough training and focus, normal humans can drive these things, just not for too long. So cool, actors drove F1 cars, but now let's talk about F1 cars racing against things they were never meant to compete with. Turns out the fastest cars on Earth sometimes get humbled by things that literally have boot space. Bro, how? Well, the showdown everyone remembers. F1 car versus fighter jet. Yep. That happened. Red Bull put Daniel Ricciardo in an F1 car and had him drag race an FA-18 Hornet on a runway. The jet starts slow, then the pilot hits the afterburner and it just vanishes like someone pressed fast forward on real life. And to be fair, the Ferrari versus Eurofighter race in Italy showed the same pattern.
Red Bull did it better just because the car and the plane were on the same runway. They went on different runways.
Short runs equals F1 flexes. Long runs equals jet leaves for another dimension. Just when you thought nothing could top F1 car versus military aircraft, Red Bull said, cool, now let's race against 25 rugby players. Ricciardo showed up with that big cheerful smile he always has. And the moment you see that smile, you just know something stupid is about to happen. And yeah, it was. The idea was simple. Take Bath Rugby's strongest forwards, these dudes are built like refrigerators with legs, and put them in front of an RB11 Formula 1 car. Not to race, not to push it, to stop it. And here's the thing, this stunt wasn't just about being fast or looking exceptional, it was just a pure strength test. Human versus machine. The rugby guys lined up like they were preparing for the final battle of a movie. Now, originally you'd think the F1 car would absolutely destroy them instantly, because yeah, it has insane torque and ridiculous grip. But here's where things get interesting. The rugby forwards actually held their ground. The rear stepped, the wheels spun, and the car kind of hesitated. The RB8 looked like it was trying to move a mountain, while the scrum dug in like their life depended on it, which it kind of did, to be fair. This wasn't a blowout, not even close. The players didn't get deleted or run over. They resisted hard enough and saw how much the car would struggle without proper launch conditions. And if watching a human wall hold back a Formula 1 car wasn't already ridiculous, just wait, because Red Bull got even crazier. This stunt literally starts in mid-air, and I know that sounds stupid, but stick with me because Red Bull somehow made it real. They basically looked at normal pit stops and said, too easy. What if we turn gravity off? Instead of a garage, they flew the entire pit crew inside a parabolic aircraft, the same type astronauts use to train. The plane climbs, drops, climbs again, and every time it hits that perfect curve, adios. Gravity disappears for around 20 seconds. In those short moments, everything inside becomes chaos. Humans float, tools float, even the F1 show car looked like it was trying to escape. And because those weightlessness windows are tiny, the timing had to be perfect. I swear, watching a wrench drift by like it has its own travel plans is weirdly calming. Everything becomes unpredictable. Every push, tap, or twist comes back at you twice as hard. And the car, yeah, it floats too.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is...
Yep, go ahead and like and subscribe. Help me pay for premium. Come on now, don't be shy.
Somehow, even with all the drifting bodies and tools doing their own thing, they managed a full pit stop in mid-air. Tires off, tires on, everything tightened, all while moving like pro astronauts. Finishing it, that was a massive flex. The first zero-gravity pit stop ever. Total movie level stuff. And just when you think there's no team that can top this, oh boy, buckle up to see a lorry decide it wants to fly over an F1 car. On that day, Lotus also treated gravity like it was optional. And when you look at the stunt, it kind of feels like someone in the room pretended physics aren't real. This wasn't some random promotional video. This was a real world record attempt with a 28-ton lorry, a Lotus F1 car. So first they had to set the whole thing up. And this setup, insane. They built a giant ramp just to send the lorry flying through the air. The ramp angle, the weight of the transporter, the speed it needed to hit. Everything had to match perfectly. But the scariest part, the timing. Because while the truck was getting ready to launch, the Lotus wasn't parked or waiting. They had fractions of seconds to get it right. And then it happened. Below it, the Lotus just glided through like it had plot armor. No panic, just smooth speed. Watching the replay, your brain goes, nah, that can't be real. But the danger was absolutely real. If the truck's angle was off by even a tiny bit, game over. If the Lotus understeered just a little, pancake mode. However, everything went perfect. Perfect timing, perfect chaos. A truck literally flew and the Lotus didn't even flinch. It's still one of the cleanest, craziest flexes Lotus has ever pulled off. And if you think this was madness, hold up until you see the crazy stuff on public roads.
Preparation started before.
Crazy thing about Red Bull is they basically have their own school. I'm not gonna say like school for when it comes to F1 at least. They have like their own F1 training thing or whatever, where a bunch of people, a bunch of kids, whatever, teenagers, whoever, adolescents, come in and they train. Whoever gets like number 1, number 2 end up becoming a Red Bull driver. But then typically like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all them other people, they'll mess around and go to another F1 team. So they'll go to Mercedes, or they'll go to Ferrari, or they'll go to Renault. They'll just go to these different F1 teams. So the fact Red Bull does so much, like, that's just insane to me. And then the more you think about it, the more you realize what they do. And at this point, they just sell energy drinks on the side. Like, they do so much other stuff that energy drinks is probably like one of the lower business decisions that make revenue. They just be like, just to say we're an energy drink company, just to keep the title in a sense. But they literally sell adrenaline, from motocross to stunt planes to bobsledding, BMX, dance competitions, even mountain biking, downhill mountain biking. You got Red Bull Rampage. It's just so much that Red Bull does.
Before dawn, the entire bridge shut for 5 hours. Not everyone happy 200,000 cars had been replaced by just one fast one.
This wasn't just a city hosting a promo. It was a whole city closing everything and letting Mark Webber go wild. Thousands of people lined up like they were waiting for a Marvel premiere, and the energy was insane. And of course, Webber didn't show up like some polite tourist. Nah, the man arrived in the BMW-powered Williams FW26, ready to send it. When he fired up the V10, the city literally turned into a giant speaker. The sound bounced off the buildings like they were joining the hype. The echo was massive. Sydney basically became an open-air concert for F1 fans. And then came the actual run across the Harbour Bridge. The city was loud, messy, uneven, completely unpredictable, and he still made it look like a highlight reel. And if you thought the skyscraper echo was wild, wait until you see an F1 car on top of a skyscraper. In 2013, Red Bull didn't just celebrate a championship. They went all out and created one of the craziest promo moments F1 has ever seen. Instead of the usual victory laps or trophy photos, they chose the Burj Al Arab, the giant seal-shaped hotel in Dubai, and decided to do donuts on that helipad. The Burj helipad is 210 meters above the sea. No walls, no rails, nothing. Just a flat circle floating in the air like a GTA helipad. And yet Red Bull decided it was the perfect place to bring an RB1. Because when you're dominating the season the way Vettel did, I guess your celebrations have to be elite too. Getting the car up there was its own adventure. They used a helicopter to lift the chassis onto the platform. Super careful. And then the mechanics prepped the surface so the car wouldn't slide off instantly. Then David Coulthard climbed in. DC has always had that calm dad energy confidence, but this was next level. He fired up the engine like it was backing out of his driveway. The moment the tires started spinning, smoke wrapped around the platform and the car rotated inches from the edge. It looked unreal, like CGI, but it was all real. And here's the part most people forget. One gust could have tilted the car, snapped the rear, and sent DC straight down. But DC handled it like a pro. Smooth, controlled, completely in charge. And by the end of it, Red Bull didn't just film a celebration, they filmed a statement. Because moments like this prove something important. The craziest things ever done with an F1 car aren't just about speed. They're about taking racing where it was never meant to go. And if you like this kind of chaos, make sure to watch this one. And as always, thank you for watching.
Man, to be fair, shoot, the whole premise of F1 is to push technology and racing to its limits. Like, it's called Formula One for a reason. Like, that's the whole point of F1, to be the most technologically advanced road vehicle ever, to be the fastest road vehicle around the corner. Between that and MotoGP, bro, F1 is 4 wheels, big technology, pushing stuff to its limits, like precision, to the point where like tires need to be heated before it gets on the track. Like, they have tire warmers because the compound itself works in such a precise range of temperature to be stable and sufficient for driving on. The engine gets preheated because if you start it cold, the metal shrinks, and because the metal shrinks, you either have gaps or you have too much pressure, to where those pistons won't move like they're supposed to. Oil won't get to where it's supposed to if those gaps aren't present. So it's literally heated before startup, because if it's not preheated, then it won't work. So F1 has always been about precision and pushing things to the limit. So that's never going to change. And the fact that they're just doing stuff outside of the racetrack It just goes to show that they continue to push boundaries, and that's what they're supposed to do. Got to give it up to all F1 teams. All F1 teams. Now, if Red Bull decided to make a car one day, I wouldn't be surprised, and that would be pretty insane if they did. That would be pretty insane. But that's all for this time. Until next time, peace and chicken grease from the east to the west.